Creating good UI is hard, and I'm not really artistic, so I decided to rip off a bunch of existing designs. I based the desktop UI in my game off of Windows 98, which I'm barely old enough to remember, but I think it looks pretty good for a low poly kind of style. The game revolves around gathering information to answer security questions or secret phrases to reset passwords, or essentially hack various online accounts. Basically, you play as an asshole because I liked the idea of having an anti hero who you don't really know whether to root for or not when they start getting stalked and eventually attacked by a serial killer. For the in game desktop environment, I decided to make 3 different main places where the player can look for information. At least for now, I think it's pretty scalable. The first is a criminal records database where you can find date of birth, charges, gender, and address. I have no idea if an address would actually be on a mugshot, but this is a video game, so I can do what I want. The second place is a chat application that's almost too based on AOL, which I'm adding because I feel like I could tailor any conversation to include information that I want that could provide the player information about a secret phrase or a security question. Then finally, there's a social media website called Your Space, where you can browse people's profiles to find personal information like favorite songs, friends' names, it's just stuff like that. Obviously, this is based off MySpace. If you're not old enough to remember MySpace, basically it was a social media website where it was really common for people to basically answer surveys about themselves, where they would talk about my favorite song is Ocean Avenue and I like long walks on the beach and like weird shit like that. It was kind of weird that we all did that, but I think this provides the perfect base to gather personal information about people for hacking purposes. So I just wanted to run through like a quick example of trying to find information about people for the game objective. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the game. And when the user goes into the desktop, after a couple seconds, I have it to where they'll just receive a new email. So new email received. That notification looks kind of bad, but so we'll go in here. So we've got this new email from an unknown sender called Your Space Credentials for Bob Livingston. So that's going to be like, I guess, our target, quote unquote. So I need you to find the Your Space Credentials for Bob Livingston. I know his email is blivingston@mail.com, but I can't figure out his password. So that's basically what we're going to be asked to provide for this, like, quote unquote customer is going to be the Your Space Credentials for them. Now, it's important they gave us the email so we don't have to go find that. I'm going to implement that in the future, but we don't have to for this one. We can just go and start trying to do like the forgot password here. So since we're looking for the Your Space, let's go into Your Space here in the web browser. I'm going to hit reset password. So that way we can just go ahead and see what it's going to want us to find off the bat. So for that email, like they gave it to us, be livingston@mail.com. We'll go in here and then we'll see the 3 security questions that we're going to have to find the answers to get this person's password. So first one, what was your first car? Second, what is your birth year? I forgot how to read for a second. Third is who is your hero? Whose is your hero? I guess I'm dyslexic too. Anyway, so we're going to pull up the notes. So we're going to say first car, birth year, hero. So that's the 3 pieces of information we're trying to find, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the home page here, and then we're actually just going to like search the Your Space for our friend Bob Livingston here. So let's search for him. There's his profile, 33 years old, Bob Livingston. We can see like a little about blurb here, and I guess this is just kind of showing off that like I can kind of customize this to do like whatever I want. So I can like create, I guess in the future when I have like a pool of different people to search for that you could possibly get as like a person you have to investigate. All this can be just customizable. Like all these fields can be different things. It doesn't have to be general and music and movies. It could be like anything. It could be like your influences, your ambitions. It could be like any social media thing you can think of, I guess. So we got one right off the bat here, heroes, my dad. So we'll go ahead and say dad. For general, he likes hunting, fishing, hiking with my dog Rocco. 80s action thrillers for movies. I was trying not to name actual movies. I don't want to get sued if this game ever sees the light of day. So we got one here, but we don't have a birth year here. We only know he's 33 years old And we still need a first car. So then I'll pull up our criminal records database here, and we'll go ahead and search for him. And look at that, he's got a record, charges of shoplifting. I'm gonna minimize these things that we don't need. All right, that's him. The age matches 33, and look at that, date of birth. So he was born in 1973, because this game roughly takes place in, I guess, 2006. So that's why I made that his date of birth. So for birth year, we'll say 1973. So we got 2 of those, but obviously this offender information here for a criminal record isn't going to have his first car. So we'll go to our last application that I've made so far, which is an AOL clone called the chat box. I thought that was kind of cool. But so we'll do reset password here. Same email, that'd be livingston@mail.com. So for this, we need first dog. See, I think I got confused here with the first car and the first dog. We don't know that it's his first dog. But anyway, if you remember here, he likes to go hiking with his dog, Rocco. So we'll say Rocco here. And his password is Ford Ranger Life, which if we didn't put together, I'll make it more explicit here in a minute, but that is going to be his first car, his Ford Ranger. So I'll go ahead and copy that. But for this, we'll go in here, blivingston@mail.com, paste in that Ford Ranger Life password, and now we've got access to all of his conversations here. So he's got one with Sophia123 here, where he said, "What's up?" I think he's trying to rizz this girl up. He said, "Nothing, what about you?" Never replied. What a loser. Anyway, we got one from Cat Lover. "Got any bud? How much you need?" So this could go a different direction if I wanted it to. So someone could be like inquiring, like, "I need you to find out if this Bob Livingston guy is selling drugs. I expect that he is." So this could be like a piece of evidence or something like that in the future. Anyway, I just added that as like a little breadcrumb for something that could happen later. Last one, Mechanic78 here. He said, "Can you fix my Ford Ranger? It's not starting again." I think so. "You're not going to mess up my truck, are you?" Remember when people used to like type like this? They put like R and U. Weird time back in the 2000s. He said, "I've had that thing since I was 16. That's the age of driving, at least where I'm from in North Carolina, or that you start to drive at age 16, at least where I'm from. So I would put that as like a clue that like his Ford Ranger here is his first car. So now that completes all of our Ford Ranger, all of our 3 questions here. So we can go back in here and now we can answer the security questions and reset his password. Or at least we should be able to. Let's see. First car, Ford Ranger. It does not matter if you put spaces in it. Capitalize anything you want. I've got some kind of like string sanitization for that, I think is what it's called. But so I don't, I'm also going to implement as much copy and pasting as possible in the future as well. So you don't have to type all of this. But and then his hero was dad. So we'll submit. That was all correct. If not, there was just an error message that would come up and say one or more security questions is incorrect. You get as many chances as possible, obviously. Well, look, his password right here, we've got it. It is pancakes. So we can go ahead and copy that. We can get out of this stuff. We don't need it anymore. And then we can go ahead and answer the your space password. Paste that in. It is pancakes, and we'll send our response. We'll get this little animation and it's sent off. Your request has been answered. So then from there, I can go and I can, behind the scenes in like a game manager script, I can dictate whether, well, you got it right or wrong. What's that going to do? Maybe that could do something with the killer's behavior. Maybe you only get 3 chances, or an in-game state happens, and then I can just kind of expand this premise from there. I think this will be engaging enough to where you could forget to listen out for the killer or to check the windows and doors to make sure they're locked while completing the objective, but I don't think it'll require so much attention that it feels impossible to balance the game objective with watching out for the killer. However, the game does have one major problem right now, and that's that it's essentially a 2000s internet douchebag simulator, because there is no killer that you have to worry about currently. So going forward, that's what I'm going to be working on. First, I need to learn how to actually 3D model a character, which seems kind of important, but then hopefully I'll start rounding this out into an actual game instead of like just a concept or like a tech demo. Thanks for watching.